Hey, Rhett, how are you? Congrats on the game the other night. I wanted to ask you to talk a little bit about the way explosive offense has impacted the college game. You guys had, I think, 9 explosive plays in the game the other night, almost 500 yards of offense. Yet, Manny was talking a few minutes ago about how you guys came back, you looked at the tape, and the coaches and players on offense were not really happy with the performance because of what happened on the other 57 plays in the game. Like what's going on offense these days, and why has it become so explosive?
This meeting
And
is
just talk
being
about how you
recorded.
see it change the game.
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, I think first of all, defenses are really good, and defenses do a nice job of game planning and trying to take away what offenses do best. I think it's no different in our game or in the NFL. Explosive plays are a big deal for offenses scoring points. So the other night we were able to make some explosive plays and even do it in some critical moments that we needed. But at the same time, we weren't really happy with the undisciplined play of us on offense. The penalties, very uncharacteristic of what we've done so far in our short time here and who we want to be. Really cost us. We were very, I just think inefficient and inconsistent. It was, we had good spurts. The second and third drive of the first quarter we were rolling, and then the second quarter we just, we were very inefficient. And it's hard to sustain drives when you're inefficient, and you can't just depend on explosive plays. And so, our attention to details got to get better. We got to execute better. The great thing is our kids know that. They're playing hard. They made the plays they needed to make. But I think they see, as well as we do, that, it's a process, and we got to keep getting better because the teams we're going to play get better each week, and it's going to start this week with probably by far the best defense we've seen so far.
Coach, we're going to Chris Stock at InsideTheU. Chris, if you had a question for Coach Lashlee.
Yeah, Coach, can you talk about Brevin Jordan, able to move him around quite a bit, his abilities, and then also with the wide receiver play, with the catches, just what have you seen these first 2 games with their production so far?
Yeah, I think our tight ends were good and productive the other night. Brevin obviously made a lot of big plays. So did Will. I think they're a good example, though, of just how we want to be more consistent, because their wild plays were incredible, really impressive, and we needed every one of them. But then even they can get better on the details on the other plays that maybe weren't seen. And at receiver, I thought we were better than we were week 1. I think we hit 7 or 8 different receivers throughout the game. And that's just kind of, I think, going to be our MO for a while. Like we said, it's going to take time. Our passing game has to progress more each week. I thought we were better. Still, we left a lot out there. We missed some throws. We dropped some balls. We need to make those plays. And so, again, I think that's just why as a group, we're very happy with the outcome, happy with how hard our guys are playing and what they're trying to do. But we got to be more crisp.
Coach, we are going to go to Manny Navarro at The Athletic. Manny, if you had a question for Coach Lashlee.
Hey, Coach Lashlee, congrats on the win. 2 things. One, Coach mentioned 5 players on offense and 5 players on defense who graded out as quote-unquote champions. I'm curious who the 5 guys were on offense, if you could tell us that. And then also with the running game, I know Cam had the 2 long runs, but outside of that, there wasn't a whole lot of success in terms of consistency. What kind of happened with the running game this week? Was it something Louisville did defensively, or were you not getting enough push maybe up front?
Yeah, good question. I don't completely remember those 5 guys, to be honest with you. I think our tight ends and running backs played pretty well for the most part, and I think it's had a little bit to do with both. Louisville, had a concerted effort. They were even going zero coverage in the middle of drives, which is unusual, which means they didn't have a safety deep because they were bringing an extra safety into the box to stop the run. And that's normal. I mean, when you run for over 300 yards the week before, teams are going to try to take that away and make us throw the ball. And so I think that's why balance is so key for us. At times we were able to make plays in the passing game to loosen them up, and at times we missed those opportunities. And so that balance is something we got to keep striving for. We still, we didn't have a lot of bust. Our guys played hard up front, but I think collectively our O-line, tight ends, and running backs, and even quarterbacks would say, we left some yards out there in the run game too that were still there to be had. So again, it's just a microcosm of how we felt. Like the big runs were awesome, but we need to be, we need those other runs to be more productive than they were and not just rely on the big play.
Thanks.
Coach, we've got Barry Jackson from the Miami Herald. Barry, if you had a question for Coach Lashlee.
Hi, Red. A couple of things. When you took a look at Cameron Harris on tape after you took the job, is he even better than what you thought he would be? And has Jared Williams graded out as your top lineman so far? Is he playing at a high level? It seems that way.
Yeah. I think Jared's been steady the first 2 games. I'm not exactly sure how Coach Justice's grading order has worked out. That'd be a question for him. But, his experience has helped. Obviously, he's a big kid who's played a lot of ball, and we're really glad we got him on that right side. With Cam, when I first got here and was trying to get familiar with the guys, Cam seemed like a solid back. But the 4 days of spring ball we had, he really impressed me then. That's when he first flashed. And I remember being impressed that he was faster than I thought he was. He's more explosive than I thought he was. And I think in the first 2 games, he's shown flashes of that. And so, really glad that he's had a good first 2 games. We need him to be that leader and to be steady for us. And hopefully that'll continue.
Coach, we've got David Lake from InsideTheU. David, go ahead for Coach Lashlee.
Yeah, Coach, it seemed like, correct me if I'm wrong, it seemed like Louisville wanted to try and force D'Eriq to make throws from the pocket. Is that a fair assessment? And if so, how do you think he did in that regard? And I was wondering, too, if you could just share some of the first impressions you have on the Florida State defense.
Yeah, they definitely did. You're right on. They were dropping 8 a lot and only rushing 3, which, makes sense. They can obviously make the passing lane smaller, kind of make him play in the pocket because everybody's got eyes on the quarterback. And I thought he made a big strides in that, to be honest with you. I think you take it was our second scoring drive where we hit Will Mallory on the big play. They were in a drop coverage then, and then, that got called back. The very next play on 3rd and 14, he found Mark Pope in a drop 8 coverage. And then even later in that drive, I think we had a 3rd and 11 around the 20 or 30-yard line. And he gets to his 5th progression and hits Brevin Jordan, which ended up getting the first down. I think those are examples of improvement, both by D'Eriq and our receivers and our O-line and everybody. And that should help us when people want to drop coverage instead of play maybe traditional man and pressure. Us have some confidence and show we can beat that as well. But and then with regards to FSU, I think familiar with the defensive coordinator. We played last year when I was at SMU and he was at Memphis. And he's a very, very good defensive coordinator, very sound. Does a really good job, brings a lot of pressure. I think their defensive front is they're long, they're big. Obviously, their interior guys with Wilson are really good, but their defensive ends are all 6'5", 6'7", really, really long. By far the best front we've seen so far. Their linebackers are big. Their front 7 is massive. And I think on the back end, they've got guys with confidence with Samuel and those guys. So, we've got our work cut out for us. They've had 2 weeks. I know they're going to have a good plan, and we're going to have to execute at a high level.
Coach, we've got David Furones from the Sun Sentinel. David, if you had a question for Coach Lashlee.
Hey, Rhett. I wanted your overall impression of the offensive line play on Saturday night and also the insertion of Ja'Kai Clark into the starting lineup, how you feel he did.
I think Ja'Kai did pretty good when you consider it was his first game. I think like everybody, he's anxious to improve on some things in week 2. But I thought he was steady. I think he did a good job, and I think he'll get better every week. I think the O-line has been pretty good overall. I know they'd like to have been a little bit better in some of the stuff in the run game last week. But, we're not having busts. We're not turning people loose in the backfield. And in the protection game, when I got here, I've had to hear about the O-line and sacks. And really in the first 2 games, I don't think the offensive line's been responsible for a sack yet. So, that's a team thing that has to do with the running backs, the tight ends, the quarterback getting rid of the ball. But, I think they're making strides. We got a lot of work to a lot of things to work on. And like I said, I think this week's defensive front will be by far our biggest test.
Great. Coach Lashlee, thanks for spending a few minutes with us today, and I'm sure we'll be talking to you soon. Good luck this week in preparation.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate y'all.